anybody. They'll stand before their Creator. I'm only judging them by their fruits, but I'm not condemning them. I'm just being discerning. I know what these people are capable of. And a lot of these people, if they had their way, they would just like to march 90+% of humanity up to, vaccination, just get euthanized, and we're going to bury you in these Napa coffins that built for four, whatever the rumor was going around about this. It's so consistent with the Bible. How if God didn't intervene, all flesh would be destroyed. Okay, that's who these people are. They are a murderous gaggle of thugs. Okay, they're evil. That is by their fruits. I'm not judging them. I'm not condemning them, but they're wicked. They write openly about these things. If you look at the Georgia Guidestones, you'll see what I mean. Okay, they want to get the earth down to 500 million from the current 7+ billion. Okay, so this is a reality. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not just making stuff up. Okay, I just don't like to be ignorant. And I know in order to not be ignorant, I've got to do my own personal research. I can't just listen to this guy or these guys or these guys. Okay, I've got to go and figure out things for my own, because at the end of the day, we're all going to stand one-on-one in front of our owner. That's the Creator God Almighty, and we're going to explain our philosophies, our belief systems, our credos, why we prescribe to these things. What is the substance, the basis for our beliefs? Will it hold water? And we should think long and hard about that. Just think long and hard about how different our paradigm could be, okay, if good was in control of this scene instead of evil. Okay, we wouldn't be seeking forms of escapism, okay, from our miserable little world, because these money masters of misery, they're miserable. Misery loves company. I mean, they're insane. So you can't really expect anybody, myself included, to make sense of the way these people's minds work. All I know is that they're evil by their fruits. Okay, their fruits are rotten. They start wars for profit and control, and they allow financial desperation, extreme poverty by design, because they know that people will lose it and they'll commit crimes, and then they get more power and control, even though it'd be vastly, incalculably cheaper to just prevent the crime by just preventing extreme poverty and financial desperation, because we don't need it. You have a willing workforce. We have a willing workforce. Prove me wrong. Nobody can prove me wrong. Okay, so I know what I'm talking about. And it costs 50 grand a year to keep a criminal in jail, and then we turn our noses up at the homeless and not even thinking to ourselves, are we seeing this through God's eyes? Do we understand? These aren't criminals. They'd be costing you and I $50,000 a year if they just wanted to say, screw it, man, I'm going to rob a bank, take the easy way out. They're just going to let me die out here in the cold if I don't. They have to break the law. The jail won't just say, well, I need a shelter. I need someplace to go. I need 3 hots and a cot, okay? I need medical care. I need education. I need all the help. Okay, instead, we could have outreach programs, and just nip this thing at the bud. But we're down the line, man. I mean, we're wallowing. Okay, we're wallowing in the pig pen. Okay, the septic. Okay, the steaming maggot-ridden pile of crap is what we're wallowing in, and we got to wake up and smell that and understand it stinks. And God is not happy. He's displeased with our behavior, our selfishness, just caring about ourselves and not other people. And saying, oh, I can divorce myself from them. I'm well healed. Just do what I did. I mean, it's your own fault. You're weak. You're stupid. Okay? Whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. That's not going to fly when you stand before your owner, your Creator, and decide where you go from here. We got to care about that. We got to move together in unison, as one whole is what we need to do. That's humanity. That's what's going to bring us happiness, is just following our hearts and having our hearts tuned into God's heart. If we do that, we'll succeed. If we fail to do that, we won't succeed. Okay? But God's will is still going to be done nevertheless. One way or another, sooner or later, it's coming to earth. And it's going to be, like Jesus said, be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. This was more Jesus giving people some food for thought, Really, here, chew on this, put that in your pipe and smoke it, because he knew we couldn't be like him. He knew we were going to keep sinning, even though he warned us. He says, better to cut your hand off than look at a woman wrong, and all this, because it was adulterous. But, he did not have a natural biological dad. His dad was divine. It was literally God Almighty, okay? And so, this is something we all, but he does want us to put stuff in our pipe and smoke it. He says, look, whatsoever you do or fail to do for the least of men, the least, however you define the least of men, if you believe it's some baby in a woman's womb and that's going to get aborted because she's too poor to afford the baby, and then you're against minimum guaranteed income, even though you would agree that this earth belongs to everybody and that it's okay if God says everybody should be born with a silver spoon in their mouth, that, yeah, you're okay with that too. Okay, so check yourself. Check your own beliefs. Do a check and balance on yourself. And understand, is my heart right with God? Am I seeing things through his point of view, from his vantage point? How are the optics according to his opinion? Okay, because that's at the end of the day the only one that really counts. He's the one that owns us, that can judge us and can send us to heaven or hell. But we are to be perfect. We are to strive for perfection. That doesn't mean we're going to get it. Like Alex Jones is always saying, hey, we're not promising a utopia with Trump and all this. Hey, look, man, you know what? It's one day at a time. You just don't stop working toward it. You don't say, well, it's good enough for me, so let's stop it right here. I like the tax scale, and I can handle the cost of living, and it's all working good for me, and so, I'm fine. No, we got to think about others. We got to give a damn, and we got to work toward a better world, one day at a time. Okay, all the problems in society are caused by the money masters of misery, deliberately, intentionally caused by them. Through deliberation, these people are shrewd. They're devilishly shrewd. And there's nothing that they won't do to keep us enslaved, okay? This whole business with the welfare system, what do you think that's all about? They knew that they were going to have to do something because people were not going to take it. They see women and children living out on the streets in America. They're going to have a bloody revolt. People aren't going to take it, especially when you discover that it's all by design, that we don't have to tolerate any poverty. There's no need for anybody to be poor. I mean, it's logical, it's reasonable, it's mathematical. I mean, if there's plenty of stuff to go around, why does anybody? You can't give me a reason, because there is no reason. There's no rational, logical, right, virtuous reason to do so. Quite the contrary. It's evil. It's obscene. It's unrighteous. And anybody that says that they think that it's okay that we have this situation, you're going to hell as far as I can tell. You're certainly not a Christian if you think this is okay. Okay, I get it from everybody. I get it from the right, okay, who think that I'm some dreamer, some idealist, so they ridicule me. I get it from the left because, I support the right and I believe in fiscal conservatism, lower taxes, okay? So I'm getting it from everybody. They don't understand that. I mean, the liberals think that if you're against socialism, you're against Robin Hood, you're against Che Guevara, you're against the people, you're against the working class, okay? And it's just not true. Nothing could be further from the truth. I'm all on everybody's side. I don't care what your philosophies are. What is God? Is God a socialist? Is God a capitalist? I mean, let's get real. Let's get honest. This national debt, I mean, I hear people talk, oh, yeah, all like innocently, like they think, oh, yeah, we got to start paying this debt back. You think that all kinds of people understand that. But here's the thing. You got to understand the resistance to that, how controversial that is to the evil people. They want that debt to just keep chugging along down the tracks. If it's ever paid off, they're irrelevant. You know that 25% of Americans work in the financial service industry to some capacity. That's job security. Do you understand how the crime is job security for everybody involved in the criminal industrial complex? Do you understand how poverty is job security for all the people working in the welfare industrial complex? Do you understand how dubious war, even though it might be wrong, okay, it's not based on anything moral like kicking Hitler's butt or some other dictator. And hell, I'll go pay to do that. You don't have to pay me, okay? But you understand that that's what these people are willing to do. And they don't want any of this stuff to go away. They don't want it to taper off. They don't want it to dissipate. They want to just keep this trajectory chugging because it's working for them. They think they're somebody. The Janet Yellens and all the people she's working for, all these Federal Reserve chairmen and chiefs and people involved in it, the corporate holders, okay, of this private entity. It is not federal. I mean, Alan Greenspan spelled it out. He said they're more powerful than the president. I mean, does it get more absurd than that? More powerful than the president of the United States, the Federal Reserve, the money printers and the issuers of currency, that more powerful than the Treasury. Okay, this is ridiculous. I mean, we're in a lot of trouble with the level of stupidity in this country that people just aren't willing to take the bull by the horn and say, wow, I could have such a different reality, such a different paradigm if if my birth reality was different. In other words, it has to be different from birth. Okay, we need an entire reset of reality is what I'm talking about. And it has everything to do with economic matters. Everything has everything to do with money. That's it. That's it. It has to be understood that you are born righted, privileged by God. You have prerogatives, not because any man tells you to, not even because the Constitution tells you to, but because it's logical, it's reasonable, it's proper, it's right, it's true. Okay? This planet belongs to you just as much as me and him and her and all of us. And I repositioned the camera. I was looking right in the sun as it was moving through the sky and shining on my face and bugging me. Too bright, too bright. And a day is coming, it's written in Scripture, when the sun won't be too bright. That'll be great, huh? It's very annoying sometimes. You ever notice that? The New World Order, this is in current events, could just as well be called the Neo World Order. I don't know why I put that, I just was making a notation. But the Neo World Order, because Neo meaning new. Or we might even call it the EWO. The EWO would stand for the Evil World Order. Here's a mention of Section 8 housing because somebody brought that up on the Alex Jones show this past week. And very important issue. This is one of those welfare industries. So $50 billion a year of my money goes into this, okay? Because money, I don't care how much you're paying on taxes. Once it goes into the kitty, it belongs to all of us. It's all of our taxes. That's the way it works. So you don't get any prerogatives, any special privileges by being a big taxpayer. That's where all this lobbying crap comes from. The American people find that disdainful. So it's my $50 billion that's going into Section 8 housing. And the problem is getting worse, okay? Because the landlords take advantage of it, they raise their rents, they say, well, it's a subsidy, I might as well before somebody else gets it. And they work together, they collude. They look at each other, what's the prevailing market? Oh, so, hey, this guy, he's well-heeled and he can take the risk and raise his prices and risk losing tenants. So, we got to back him up and we got to raise our, you understand how this works? So the other landlords start raising their rents. Because they base it on this guy that's always known to have the highest rents in town. I mean, this kind of thinking goes back to Gilligans Island. If anybody's seen that episode where there was an imposter, I believe, for Thurston Howell. He's this mega rich guy because he's worth a couple of $1 million back then in the 60s, right? And so, he had the lowest rents, and so he almost cried because he was known for being the Wolf of Wall Street and had the highest rents in town and all this. So all the other landlords look up to him. They bow, they defer to the meanest, the most ruthless. So these are the guys that are at the top, the guys like Rich Dad, okay, his ilk. Okay, at least Donald Trump, he made his money in the Trump Towers. He appealed to the luxury class, the high-end people that can afford to throw money, they got money to burn, So I don't talk about him in the same vein as this kind of thing, and I don't condemn anybody. Even Rich Dad was smart enough and honest enough to admit that the bailout of '08 was a big mistake. That we should have let the capitalism would have dictated that we let these people fall on their face. They overextended themselves. And the right thing to do is to have a market correction. Okay, that was the right thing to do. And forgive a lot of loans, drop the mortgages, whatever was necessary to get it in line with reality. Okay, because they did this on purpose. They blew the pipes out of the economy on purpose. So it's very important to understand how this thing works. And you don't understand inflation if you think it's progress. Okay, you have to define inflation as regress and go kicking and screaming and stand up for your fellow man. Even if you get pay adjustments, that's what they got. People get cost of living adjustments, or they're well heeled, they're doing good, they're succeeding. And so they forget about other people. They don't worry about other people. They divorce themselves. And that's evil. In the sight of God, that is an evil credo to prescribe to, but people do. So there's a whole lot of pseudo-satisfaction, a whole lot of pseudo-happiness in this world. And people are lying their way to hell. At the end of the day, that's where they're going. If they don't jump ship and say, I get it now, I have to care about the least of men, or else I don't care about Jesus. It's as simple as that. I don't care about God. I don't care about what's right. And, that's it. I'm unethical. I'm immoral. I'm ungodly. I'm unholy. And that's the price I'm willing to pay to go to hell, because I love my life in this world. I'm very well healed. It's working for me. And I just cannot concern myself with other people's problems. I got enough of my own problems, right? So often that's people's thinking. And it's wrong. It's evil. It's wicked. And we need to change it. We need to understand these things. We need to all be willing to carry our fair share of weight of the cross of this thing and speak to people. It's as simple as that. It's just educating people. It's not hard. I can educate people on these simple financial matters. I know what Adam Smith taught. I don't need a degree from Harvard in economics to understand what the man said. It's all very simple. Okay, all these people that come out of these universities, a lot of brown noses. They just want to